Hey guys, and today we're going to start the FastAPI course and let's learn together Fast APIs. Let's get started. So FastAPI is a Python web framework which you can build APIs with that, and it's pretty simple, easy to learn, fast to build, and all those benefits. And developers love this. FastAPI is built on top of Starlet and Pydantic. Starlet is kind of web server and ASCII web server, which handles the incoming request, outgoing responses, and all those server things. Then it's also built on top of Pydantic, which handles the data validation part. So it sanitizes the incoming requests to the application and the outgoing requests and everything. So it's all on data validation. So without further ado, let's get started to the code. All right, so we're in the code and let's get started. So as you can see, I have created an empty folder here and call it FastAPI course or whatever that you prefer, name your project, and then we're gonna create a project using UV. So if you have not installed UV, please go to the astral.sh/UV and then install the UV package manager. It's pretty fast and it's a good package manager. I use this for my projects. So let's get started. So we're going to create a project using UV init command first. And this will create a bunch of files for us. So that was not quite right. So UV init is the command, and this creates a bunch of files for us. So it also creates a Git repository for us. That's why you're seeing this git ignore here. And whatever we put inside this git ignore file, then it's ignored by Git. And then we have this Python version. So the current Python version that this project is using, this Python version, it helps that the Python version should be consistent across the environments. So the current Python version is 3.12. Then we also have this README. It's in every project. We don't need to be worried about this. And then we have this PyProject.tom. So this is the our main dependency manager of the project. It has some metadata about the project. As you can see, name of the projects, the project, version, description, README requirement, the Python version, and dependencies will go here. Then we have this main.py, which is the main entrance of our application. So let's get started with FastAPI. To get started with this, we need to do this. We are going to install FastAPI first and Pydantic. Then we're going to use it. So we can use UV add, and then I think we can use, let me see, FastAPI and then standard. And that's it. So we just need this. And this will install the FastAPI and also some other dependencies that is needed with FastAPI. So you can see all the dependencies that is required for this. It will install those automatically. So inside the main.py file, we are going to import FastAPI, and we are going to do this from FastAPI, import FastAPI. And that's it. So we have now imported, and let's create an instance of the app using FastAPI. So right now, if you're familiar with Python, we create an instance of the FastAPI like this, no new keyword and all those things. So basically, FastAPI is just a class wrapper of Starlet, Pydantic, and other dependencies. So we initialize that class, and now we have an instance. So this is our app instance, and we're going to add routes and all those things on top of this. So first, let's add root routes. Let's say, yeah, slash whenever we visit the root of the project, then what we will see. So FastAPI uses decorators to create routes. So if you know the Python decorators, it's it's a function that modifies the behavior of other functions without modifying the code. So let's create the decorator, and here we say if you want to create a GET request, so we are going to use the GET method. And right now, what should be the path for this? The path is just the root, and that's it. Then we are going to so right now, when the user visits this path, so what we're going to show is this. So we're going to create a function, and I will call this root, and this takes nothing and returns just a string. And let's say just return hello FastAPI or world, it doesn't matter. So we're going to return hello world, and that's pretty much it. We have a complete FastAPI application with a route, and you can see that it's pretty simple with just like 5 lines of code, but the magic is remaining. So let's see the magic. I'm going to do this. I'm going to run the FastAPI dev server using the FastAPI. Okay, so I get this no command FastAPI. That's because I have not activated the virtual environment. So source VNV. So we have installed, as you're seeing that, we have installed FastAPI here, but it's not recognized here. That's because it's not activated in this terminal. So we're going to activate that virtual environment. And we're going to call exactly this venv .venv bin and then activate. So we're going to call this this file, and it will automatically activate the virtual environment for us. And as you can see, now we have something in the terminal which states that we are inside this virtual environment, which is called FastAPI, same name as the project. So right now, when we try FastAPI dev main.py, it should run, and we shouldn't get an error. So let's see. Yeah, you see, starting development server, and you're saying that this is our module and blah blah. So the important thing is this for us: server is started at this localhost or the equivalent of the localhost, and then 8000. And the documentation is in docs, just /docs. And we are good to go. So let's go to the server and see how it is. So I'm going to go to localhost, and you can see that we have the hello world here. So the server is working, and if you see, we made a GET request to this route, and the response is this. So it means that it's working. But now let's do something more. And I'm going to visit /docs and let's see what happens now. And this is the magic of FastAPI. The documentation is set up automatically, and it's this Swagger, Redux, and all those things are set up. It's a sync, and everything is handled for the developer, and that is why developers like FastAPI. Okay, so this is the documentation, and we can actually interact with our API from the Swagger UI. So I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna execute, and I will see this the response. And what query we actually called? So we made a GET request to localhost 8000, and of course we're going to the header is JSON, so we're going to accept the JSON. And you see that this is the response, this is the headers, and you also see that everything is handled by FastAPI and Swagger UI. Then one more thing that we can see is this. So if we go to not docs but /Redux, and then we're going to see Redux, and it's also set up so you get 2 API documentation with 0 effort and 0 setup. You just write the code, and FastAPI handles everything under the hood. So you see the response would be this. You can infer everything. So right now we only have this route. So this is the magic of FastAPI. The next thing that we're going to talk about is path operations. So let's say we have path operations, and then path, what do we call this? Path parameters. So let's talk about this. So path operation is whenever a user visits the URL, so what's going to be done and which action is needed there. So that's called the path operation. And then and the path operation is different. So FastAPI handles that like this whenever it's for GET requests. And then we have app.post, which is used for post requests. So whenever a request is made to the endpoint, the action that is needed to take it, whether it's GET, whether it's post, that's called the path operation. And then we have path parameters, and that's whatever goes inside in the URL. That's whatever value that goes in the URL, that's called the path parameter. For example, let's say we have /items and then 10. So this is the path parameter, and in FastAPI we can do this like this. Let's say we have app, and then we get. I'm going to use get. So, and the path for this is /items/ then we have here's the path parameter, and then we're going to have item ID. So this item ID is a parameter that is passed to this path. So this is called path parameter. And we're going to have a function, and this async means that this is an asynchronous function. So let's say get item, just get item, and now we have the item ID. So in FastAPI, it's typed, so we need to use type hints, and the type hints for this is integer. So let's just let me make this a bit bigger so you can see this better. All right, so we define this integer, and what this does that whenever there's a something passed after like in here items slash something, we make sure that it's integer. If it's not, FastAPI will reject it. That's handled by FastAPI. All right, so what it returns a dictionary. And that's it. So let's say we just return the dictionary, and then item ID is item ID. Okay. So this is called the path parameter. So let's give it a shot, and yeah. And you're saying that whenever you're in dev server, FastAPI will watch the file changes, and if there is a file changes, it will automatically reload the server again, so the changes are applied. So we do not need to do anything. We just straightly go to this documentation. I'm gonna use this docs, and you're seeing that we have a couple of extra things here, and that is this item, this route is added here, and the method is get. You're seeing that this is a get method. The path for that is item slash item ID, and you see that FastAPI adds automatic documentation for this. How you see this get item, this is automatically added by using this function. We can add more documentation, but for now just let's skip this. All right, so let's give it a shot and see how easy it is to use FastAPI and develop APIs with FastAPI. So you're seeing that item ID is a required parameter, and it should be an integer, and it will not accept anything. So first, let's try with integer. And I put integer, and then I'm going to execute this. When I click, you see that the response is successful because it's 200, and I get the response, and item ID is 1. But if I here I add something which is not valid, let's say I am adding some string, then let's see what happens. I'm going to clear this. So let's see. You see that it's not accepting that because it's integer. And please correct the following, and this should be an integer. So you're seeing that. And let's see here. We get this items slash ID, and it was 200, which was successful. But FastAPI instructed Swagger UI to that this should be integer, and if it's not integer, just validate in the UI. This validation is done in the UI, but we can validate that in the FastAPI as well. So I'm going to create a new server here and new terminal. Just let's create a new terminal, and let's say I'm going to call HTTP localhost and then 8000 slash let's say items slash I would say something like world. Then let's see what happens here. And you see, let me make that more readable. So you're seeing here that it's int parsing, and this is an error, and the input should be a valid integer, unable to parse the integer. Right now we actually hit the server, and you can see this, we're getting unprocessable entity. So FastAPI will not allow this. We will not get to this part. Let's say inside the get item router function, and we will not reach at this point. So let's try that again, and I'm going to clear this, and you see that this has not been printed. It was rejected from here. So that's how the path parameter works. All right, so then next we have query parameters. So let's say query parameters. And what is a query parameter? Query parameter is basically whatever in the URL, whatever comes after this question mark, that's query parameter. And the structure is like this. And this is the query, and then equals to something, whatever. It can be anything. We define that. So this is a query parameter. Let's say that, yeah, so like I get items. So yeah, we're getting all the items, and then let's say that the item, let's say name is let's say foo. So this query parameter is like a filter or a setting that comes to in the URL, and it's optional mostly. So let's go and implement this. So let's have this, and then app.get, and the path is /items. Then we have a function async div, and this is get underscore items. And then we can have a couple of query parameters. It's not the same as the path parameter. Path parameters goes inside the path, but query parameters doesn't. So let's say we get usually like this is also used in pagination, so that can be a good use case. So let's say that I'm gonna use like page, and this is an integer, and then let's say limit or offset. We can say offset. Just let's do this. Let's say skip is an integer, and then we have limit is also an integer. So then it will return just dictionary for now, but technically should be a list. Okay, so right now let's just return this escape, and then escape, and then limit is this limit. So you're saying that this server is auto-reloading, and let's go and see this in the documentation. So if I reload this, and I will have a new route here, and that's get items. So I'm gonna just like 2, 5, and whatever. So you're seeing that in the request, it's added as the query, or it's added after the after this question mark. So we have escape is equal to, and this is another query parameter which they are combined. Limit is 5. So it is created like that. So in pagination, it works like that. And then we can make that optional, like let's say that it's integer or none. And we can also make this integer or none, and this is the default is none. So right now, if I refresh this, you're seeing that this is no longer required. And whenever I try this, if I send this, if I do not send this, it will not be here. But if I send something here, then they will be added. So this is the query parameter, and that's all right. So next we have Pydantic, and Pydantic is a data validation library which validates the incoming requests and outgoing responses. So to use Pydantic, we first install the Pydantic, and if it's not installed in your case, you just add UV, you just run UV add Pydantic, and it will be installed on your computer and for this project. So let's import, let's say from Pydantic, import base model. So what we are doing here is that we define schemas of the data that you want and give it to FastAPI, and then using Pydantic, FastAPI validates the incoming requests. So right now we want to create the schema. So let's say I want to create an item class, and this inherits from base model. So right now we have a Pydantic schema, and then we add our fields here. So let's say name of the item, it can be a string, and then let's also import field from Pydantic, and let's say it's a field and default. Let's say we can have a default, but for now we do not want to have a default for this field. We will add for other fields, but for this field we will not add. So let's say description, and it's equal, description is name of the item. So then okay, then we can have let's say price is a float. Then let's say field, and it's required. Description is price of the item. Then it should be greater than 0, obviously. Then we can have something like description, and this can be either string or none. It means that this is optional, and default is none. So yeah, this is our Pydantic schema. Right now, let's use this schema in one of our routes. So I'm going to create a new post request, and this will create an item. So let's say we're going to create a function or a route named create item, and it gets an item data which confirms with the item schema that we have defined, and it will return a dictionary. And the return type, okay, the return type is this, a dictionary, and then we can have like name is item dot name, and at this point, okay, there's a typo. Okay, so at this point we are sure that this data, the incoming request has been cleaned and it is in this format. So we confidently use the name, price, and description for description for this. So let's say we have price, then we can have item.price. And then we can have something like description, and we can also use description if item dot description. Then we can have item dot description, else we can have something like empty string. So right now, let's start our dev server, FastAPI dev main.py. We're pointing to this, and this is up and running. So let's refresh this /docs, and then we have this item. So right now we have something, name should be book, price is like, let's say 10, and then we can have description should be let's say a novel book, say. So we have this data, and now we're sending this data into the FastAPI application, and you're seeing that we have this, and we got the 200 response, which means that it works. And then let me do something like weird. Let's say description is true, and I'm sending something false. So let's try that. And when I hit this, I get 422 status code, which means unprocessable entity. It means that this data that has been sent here is not valid. And this error comes from Pydantic. And you see the message here is input. The input should be a valid string. And this is a Boolean. And that's why it's giving an error. So you're seeing that the type of the error is a string type, and the location is in the body and the description field. So we know that something is wrong with this field, and the message clearly says that it should be a string, but right now it's a Boolean. And this is pretty descriptive. So that's all about Pydantic. So let's move on to the next one. All right, guys. So next we are going to talk about background tasks. So sometimes you want to run a function after the response is complete. So for example, sending an email to the user, cleaning up some files or data, and other tasks. So that's where background tasks came in. So it's useful when you do not want to keep the user waiting. Let's say a user is sending a request, and for sending email, you keep the user waiting. It's not a good practice. So you give the response to the user, and then after that, you send an email. So let's try to implement this. Let's say I'm going to write the topic here, background tasks, and to use this, we're going to need to import background tasks from FastAPI. Then we're able to use that the background tasks. So let's create a function, and that function is, let's say dev let's say notify user, and then we get the email of the user, and it for now it returns nothing. And we just print email sent to, and then we say user is this email. So we have created our utility function. Now we're creating a post request. So app.post, and then we have, let's say, background task, and then we can have like a sync def, let's say BG endpoint, background task endpoint, and then we get the email of the user. Let's say email, and then that's a string, and it will return like dictionaries or something. Yeah. So here, oh, but before that, we are going to inject the background task. So let's say background task is an instance of this background tasks. Right now, we're going to do this. We're going to add this, add a task to the background task. So we add bg dot add task, and then we're going to notify user with this email. And you know that here we didn't use like this email. We do not do that. We just write the name of the function, and then the parameters goes after a comma. So that's it. And then we will return, let's say, status is okay or whatever. So this is it. Right now, let's test that. So if we go to this, /bg, which is the background tasks, then we put an email, and then let's say example at gmail.com. Then we execute this, then we will see something. But before that, I'm going to show you something. So let's print something here, and let's say after background tasks, and which one will be executed first? This line 50, this line, or this line? Let's see that. I will explain that for you later. So let's execute this, and you will see that the status okay. And let's see here. You're seeing that we had the background task first, and then we had after background tasks. And you might think that it will first execute this one, email sent. It will send the email, and then this line will be executed. But that's not actually true. First, it will come here, it add the task, but it will not execute that until the response is complete. It will add that here, and then this line will be executed, which is here. And then it returns the response here. And once the response is returned, and the user, once this is returned, then this will be executed. You should understand this, that background tasks will run and will be executed after the response is done. So that's about background tasks. Okay, so next we are going to talk about middlewares. Middlewares are the most important part of an application, and it will run before and after every request. So whenever a request comes into the application, before and after that, what should run before that? Middleware handles that. So use case for that is logging, maybe authentication. There is security checks, and for example, counting the tokens, and other use cases. Let's say, okay, let's get into the work, and let's add a request timing middleware. It's pretty simple. So we're going to add that using app.middleware, and the type of middleware is HTTP. And we're going to have a function here, and let's say the function is request timing middleware. All right. Then this function receives, as I said, it receives requests, and it runs before and after that. So we're going to take the request. but we need to import the request from FastAPI. So we're going to import this, the request that is coming to the FastAPI, and then we also need something else. So after I get this response, so what should I do? So we have a function built-in in FastAPI, which we're going to use that, which is called next. And then we're here. So let's say we have a response, and then the response is using call next, and then we will call next request. But before this, we will do something before request, before response actually, before response, and then here is after response. So we will add our logic here. So let's say we first need to import time. So import time. Then we do this. Let's say start time is time dot time. Okay, so it will start the time for us. It's like a timer. It will start the timer for us. And then after that, we can have, let's say, end time, which is also time dot time. So right now we added a start time and end time before and after the response. We will add response dot headers, and we will add a header here. So this header is an array of the headers. So we will add something like x process dash time. So the amount of time that this request has been processed, and this is int time minus start time. Okay, then we can log that, but that's not necessary. And then we will return the response. We'll return the response. So right now our middleware is added. So let's go and test our middleware. So let's go to, okay, let this be reloaded. There is, okay, something, I think there is some typo or whatever. Okay, so here's a typo, middleware, I am guessing. Then let's see, there's, if we have any other error, we have response. And let me format this as well. So we will have something like this. And let's format this to like this, 4 digits after that point, and then this is seconds. Yeah, okay, then let's try that. So let's refresh this and call an endpoint. So I'm going to call this endpoint, and I'm going to add something, and then gmail.com. And let's try this. So you see, right now there is another thing added in our headers, and that is the process time, and it will be executed after every request, no matter which endpoint we hit. Let's say I hit this endpoint, and you're seeing that it has been added. So that's the beauty of the middleware. Let's move on to the next topic. Talking of middlewares, we need to consider something for production applications. There's something called CORS. So it means that which origins, cross origin for something like that, we need to define which origins we want to allow to request to our server, and that's handled by CORS. So we will do this from FastAPI dot middleware, I guess, dot CORS. We are going to import course middleware. And then we will add that here, app.add middleware, and that middleware is this thing, course middleware. The parameter that it takes are these allow origins. So from which origins do we want to allow to call our server? Let's say it's localhost 3000, and let's say it's whatever origins that we have, we will add it here. Maybe like this. Or if we want to just allow everything or every server that hit our server, then we just use a star. A star means that every client can request our server. Next, we have allow methods. And then this is the same. We can have, let's say, the allowed method is only get, and then there's no post will be allowed into our server. But if we want to add post, we can have add post, delete, or whatever. But if you want to just allow everything and every methods, we just add star. Then next we have allow headers. So here let's say we want a specific headers to allow to be allowed in our server. But if not, we just allow everything. So, but usually this is more important for the security reasons in production application. With this, I hope this crash course helps you dig further for your FastAPI journey, and I wish you the best.